I still love to talk about the tending of the garden because I believe that God has given, according to Genesis chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, God has given Adam and Eve a responsibility to tend the garden of their souls. And God said, tend the garden and make sure that there's nothing in the garden that will cause death. He said, don't open the door to sin. And so we understand. I want to ask this question. If you are someone that loves sin and you enjoy sin and unrighteousness, it's obviously that Satan is in your garden, is in your heart, is in your soul. It is actually directing you and you are a slave to sin. Now, if you're a husband and you have your home, you have your two kids, your wife, and if you know that there's someone outside your door and he's a killer, he has been proven a serial murderer, and he is wanted by the policeman. You know he's at the door of your heart, your house door, and if he comes in, he might just rape your wife, he will kill your kids, and will kill you. What would you do? Would you open the door to that person even though the person may insinuate and tell you that, okay, he's not going to do it? Even though the person may tell you that he's coming to make you happy and he's going to give you fun and entertainment and, he's going to give you pleasure. Would you still, knowing the history of that murderer, and open up your door and let that person in? Any sensible human being will say no. The other scenario I want to talk about, there was once a woman, as I heard this story, she was in a forest and she realized that the place was very cold and her house was near the forest. And so she was coming out of the forest and she saw a snake, and the snake spoke to her and said, let me into your house because you know what, it's very cold out here, it's snowing and it's very freezing, it's so freezing, and I want to get in your house to keep warm. And the lady said to the snake, you're a snake, don't be silly. When you come into my house, you will eventually sting me. And the snake said, no, seriously, I'm not going to sting you. Just open the door and let me in. And so the snake convinced the woman, and the woman let the snake into her room. The central heating was on, and she was just drinking a cup of tea, leaning back on the sofa, and all of a sudden, the snake just stung her. And she said, before she died, she said, but you told me you're not going to sting me. Why did you deceive me? And the snake turned to the woman and said, don't be silly, I'm a snake. I don't know nothing else but to sting you. So this is how Satan, what Satan do to many people. Satan used pleasure and said, just watch this filthy movie, just watch this sexual immoral movie, just do this. It's just a little bit of fun. It's just a little bit of hatred. It's just open up your door and let me in. Even though you're well aware that if you open the door, the serial murder will destroy your family, it will destroy your wife, it will destroy your future, but you still open the door because Satan tell you it's going to be pleasurable. And you trust that snake, and that snake enter into the door of your heart, control your minds, and it hatches many other snakes, and now your house is filled with sin, and sin multiply, and it causes death. This is what happened to David. David looked at a woman, and his eyes saw the naked Bathsheba, and what happened? Because of that, he was crime came into his house, incense came into his house. His own son raped his sister, and he murdered. His son was murdered by his household, and the sword never departed from David's house. The sword has never departed from Adam and Eve's house because Cain killed Abel, and all of these things just happen. That's what sin does. Sin is looking for a chance or an entry to enter into your heart door, and if you open the door, as the Bible said in Genesis 4, verse 6 or so, it said to Cain, why is your countenance so down? Why are you so sad? If you do what is right, would you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is at the door of your heart. Its desire is to have you, is to kill you, but you must rule over it. So dear friends, don't open the door to television and to all wrong movie and wrong sexual immorality, even though it may feel good, even though it may feel nice, but close that door. Don't be curious. Curiosity kills the cat. Many people are curious about sin. They're curious about homosexuals. They're curious about all these different immoral behavior. And they said, let me go and try it. Let me try this just once. And they get indulged into it. And instead of, they cannot get out of it. And many of you watching this today, you may be victimized by that. You may be curious over sin. You may be curious over robbing. You may be curious over health, wealth, and prosperity preaching, and you get into it, and it's a trap to your soul. And this is what Satan does. He uses sex, he uses immoralities and all these things to make you feel curious, and you'd now try it, and it hold you hostage, and you cannot be delivered from it. Let Jesus deliver you from sin. Cry out to him and let him deliver you from sin, because if you're not delivered from sin, the sin is going to take you and destroy you in hell forever. Wake up, dear friends. Don't be foolish. God said in Jeremiah, my people are fools. Why? Because man rather darkness than light. Don't be a fool. Trust God and let God deliver you from the power of sin. Walk good.